Am I the a-hole for wanting my best friend to change her hair color? I am getting married in October of this year. My wedding is a nude champagne peach theme with ivory. The bridesmaids dresses I've picked out are peach and terracotta silk dresses. They're absolutely beautiful. However, my best friend has bright electric blue hair. She just got done and paid a lot of money to get done, and it doesn't match the color scheme of the wedding. At first, I asked if she would consider changing her hair when the wedding gets closer. I even offered to help pay for it, and she straight up told me no. She keeps insisting that I just change the theme of my wedding to match her hair. Okay. But I've already spent a lot of money on decor, because that extra R just makes it so much more complicated to type. Flowers, etc. in peach, nude, and terracotta. She doesn't normally act like this, and I'm usually very willing, is usually very willing. We've been arguing about this for almost 3 months now, and now I'm debating if I should even have her in my wedding. She keeps saying that I'm being the a-hole and selfish in this situation. Please help, LOL. Hello, welcome to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Jamie. I'm your online wedding planner, and I help people plan their weddings without paying for a full-blown planner because it's super expensive. I love what I do, but not everybody can afford it. So I've got all these sorts of things. I got this YouTube channel. I've got podcasts. I'm going to go ahead and link them right here if you all want to check them out. But basically, I want to help you guys navigate wedding planning. And sometimes when it comes to planning a wedding, there are emotional complications that you don't really anticipate. And sometimes you just got to talk to a professional about them. And that's not what these people did. They just went to the internet and posted on Reddit, and they probably had no idea that I was gonna yoink their submissions for my own commentary. But here we are. So, welcome. But don't worry, she edited to add, I should mention that I'm paying for all of her transportation and expenses for the wedding too. Her airfare to come here, her hair and makeup, her dress, etc. I'm also paying her childcare cost too. Food and diapers so her parents can watch her kids since this is a child-free wedding. What? What? Oh, this is getting too much. I also paid for 3 nights because that's all I could afford. Okay, let's not make you sound like the penniless peasant here. You are paying a ton for this person. So let's get that straight. At the hotel where my honeymoon is, so her and her partner can have a nice vacation too. The overwhelming consensus for the vote so far is you are the a-hole, according to the Redditors here. This is a petty argument. I don't know you, I don't know your friend, but this is petty as heck because you're like, why don't you change your hair color? And she's like, why don't you change your entire wedding theme? Both of you are being ridiculous. And I say this with full love. You love each other. You literally called her your best friend. You know that she spent a ton of money on this. Okay, let me rein this in. You are going to have members of your wedding party that may have an aesthetic that doesn't perfectly match what you see on Pinterest. I had a bridesmaid in my wedding that literally had what looked like chocolate dipped hair. Half was one color and the other half from here down was another color. Was it my favorite look? Of course not. I was not a huge fan of it. However, is it her face and her head and her body? Yeah. So to ask her to make some sort of change in that manner, in my opinion, would have been crossing a boundary. To go ahead and add in all of these things that you're paying for, you chose to do that. You made that choice. It's not like your friend came to you and said, from what I can tell here, it's not like your friend came to you and said, I can't afford to come to your wedding. I can't do it. And then went and got her hair dyed and got all this crazy stuff done and is now refusing to dye it back. That would be unhealthy. And if that did happen, let's add in a modicum of grace for that specifically, because maybe you paid for all these things and then she got her hair done, because maybe you paid for all these things because she didn't have the money and then she got her hair done. But all of these things that you are paying for sound like gifts, not requirements, not gifts with strings attached, not I will only pay for your hotel if you have the appropriate hair color. And it sounds like she's biting back by saying, why don't you just change your wedding theme? Because you're kind of being a lot. Do I love the electric blue hair with your color palette? Absolutely not. I'm going to just open up a space for you to be like, I get it. I hear you. I understand. That would bum me out. I totally get that. If you're picturing this big, beautiful Pinterest photo from the back of your ceremony with all of your wedding party standing out there and you see this sore thumb of electric blue hair, I can understand why that would bug. I can understand why that would make you feel disappointed. I can understand why you'd be like, that is just not what I envisioned. But what do you value more, this relationship or this photo? Because it really comes down to that. We're talking about pictures. You don't have to print any of the ones with her electric blue hair. You already know that she invested a lot of money into this. Your gifts, your financial payment towards getting her hair done, paying for her airfare, paying for her attire, paying for her to stay for 3 nights because that's all you could afford, those should all be given as gifts without strings attached. Unless there's been some sort of expectation of she couldn't afford to be there. You either need to give grace for the fact that this is her hair color, or you need to figure something else out. Because you're right, if you've been fighting about this for months, I mean, that is a true friend sticking this out with you to keep fighting. Because she could just very easily be like, I'm out. I'm not doing this. This is a ridiculous request. My hair is this color. It is what it is. I spent a lot of money. I was really excited about this. And now you care more about these photos than you do about me really expressing my personality through my hair color. And that sucks. Like, that's a lot for one person to process. It's a lot for you to process too. So let's give space for you not having the vision that you want. Is it worth losing this friend over? But here's also, countermeasure. Let's read the top response. I don't think anyone is the a-hole really, but it seems kind of thoughtless. If you know you're going to be in a wedding and you've committed to this and you know the colors, why would you go and dye your hair blue knowing it will clash? Just seems kind of thoughtless in my opinion. I feel like if you make the commitment to be in a wedding, you shouldn't drastically change your hair color to something extremely eye-catching because it's a little bit inconsiderate. I mean, she couldn't have just dyed it blue after the wedding. I know everyone's going to say it's rude to expect people to accommodate you for your wedding, but is it really? This is planned in advance. The bridesmaid is given notice and knows the decor theme. They're your close friend and have agreed to be a huge part of your wedding, so it just seems like they could have at least taken that into consideration before drastically changing their appearance. I mean, is her desire to have blue hair really more important than this one-time event in your life? I see the merits behind the statement. I appreciate that someone's saying this. I would never dye my hair blue before somebody's wedding. It just would never be a move that I would do. I would never dye my hair blue. Just period. But I would also never do anything drastic with my appearance before somebody's wedding, right? But if I felt so called to make some sort of, I guess I probably wouldn't do a lot of drastic things with my appearance anyway. So I might not be the right person to be involved in this part of the conversation. But I get where this person's coming from. This is solid counter commentary. I appreciate that. Maybe the friend does need to sit there and go, yeah, I did make that choice right before my best friend's wedding. That's a bummer. Or maybe there's a deeper reason that they chose hair color. Here's the deal. She said no about changing her hair color. That is on a person's body. That is their style choice. That is something they've invested a lot of money in. That is a we are not fighting about this anymore line in the sand. You said, can you change it? She said no. It is what it is. Now you need to decide where you want to put that emotionally moving forward. Oh, we hit the ground running with that one. All right, let's see. Okay. Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin she can't run off to do her own thing when she was late to dinner on my bachelorette trip? Oh. And the consensus is yes, you are the a-hole. Okay, let's dive into this together, shall we? Throwaway. This kind of blew up into a bigger thing and my sister said I should post it on AITA. Great. I'm getting married. I think it's hysterical that people put their name or their ages on this. I'm like, why? Okay, thank you. I'm getting married soon and went to New York for my bachelorette trip recently. There were 8 of us, including my cousin, who's one of my bridesmaids. We were only there for a couple of days and there were different things we wanted to do. I only asked people to pay for their flight and hotel share. I paid for everything else. Okay, so now we've got strings attached. Now we've mentioned finances. I expect you to do the things I want you to do. I'm calling it right now. If I'm paying for things, I expect you to be there. Is there some validity to that? Heck yeah. If I'm going to pay for your dinner, could you please be there? But I wonder if this is going to be used as a weapon later on. Let's figure that out. I made early dinner reservations for everyone on our last night, and we were going somewhere else after. Haley mentioned that she'd wanted to go visit a cemetery to pay her respects. It was to visit her late husband. I'm not laughing. I am laughing. I am laughing at the OP on this one. I said, okay, but to be back in time to go to dinner. Oh, y'all. Etiquette's important to me for weddings, and being respectful is important to me for weddings and events associated with weddings. But so is grace, and so is kindness, and so is treating the people in your life with respect. I made reservations for 5 and it was already 4:30, but Haley wasn't back at the hotel. A couple of us called, but she didn't pick up. She sent a text saying she was running late and she would meet us at the restaurant. She ended up coming close to 6. I talked to her later about being so late and managing her time better. She made an excuse, but I replied this was supposed to be a girls' trip, not so she can go run off to do her own thing without thinking of anyone else. She got pretty upset. We flew back the next day. Yeah, but she kept quiet. And my sister said she saw her crying. I did text her later, but she left it on scene. My sister thinks I shouldn't have said that to her, but a couple of the other girls agree that she shouldn't have been late. Am I the a-hole? Girlfriend, we are talking about your cousin's deceased husband. That is like rock, paper, scissors, bomb. You know, like it's the ultimate valid excuse to go somewhere. She wasn't going to a club. She wasn't meeting up with some sketchy guy that she found on some sort of dating app. I don't know what they're called. I think Bumble's one of them. I've been off the market for a while. It's not like she was out there to like go see some person that she barely knew. She was out there to go honor her deceased husband. I think there should have been a lot more grace poured to this situation. I think that I can understand, and I really do want to validate your feelings of feeling like, man, like I really wanted you there and you were almost an hour late. Like that bums me out, you know? But if she's in town, maybe she also doesn't live there. There could be a couple circumstances, of course, that are not being added into this conversation, right? But she doesn't live there, and maybe this is the only time she can go visit her late husband. Your event, your wedding is incredible. It's exciting. The family members around you are probably so thrilled to celebrate right alongside you. She's probably feeling so many extra emotions being in a wedding and probably remembering her own wedding and her husband's passing. And maybe she's only in town for a short period of time and she's late because she was visiting his graveside. I think if you put yourself in her shoes, really and truly, if you sat with this and you were like, if the person I'm about to marry had passed and I don't get to see their graveside very often and this is all I got, what if she broke down? What if she just lost it? What if she was just trying to stop crying long enough to come back to you because she didn't want to be a downer on your weekend? Yeah, I think I would agree with a lot of the voters here. That was a bonehead move, and I think you owe her an apology. You are allowed to have the feelings that you need to feel. You are allowed to want people there for dinner that you're paying for. You're allowed to feel all of those things, but for that to be more important than her visiting her dead husband on a weekend where she does not want to rain on your parade, I think you need to process through that a little bit further. And I do truly think you owe her an apology. Because if the roles were reversed, I think you would want that grace. I think you'd want that time to collect yourself before coming back and joining a very fun and very vibrant party when your heart is just not in that place. The top comment says, you are the a-hole. Your cousin was about 30 minutes late to a dinner because she was visiting her late husband's gravesite, and you're so angry that you had to talk to her about managing her time better. She graciously agreed to be a bridesmaid, not your employee. Unbelievably selfish and cruel on your part. OP. All right, here's one where the votes say, not the a-hole. Let's dive in, shall we? I work as a mechanic, and our uniform is a set of blue pants and a blue shirt, but our company's name is on the side, and it's white with green accents. Oh, is this going to be a white thing, like the color white? Okay, sorry, because the title says, am I the a-hole for wearing a white lanyard and patch while walking out of a wedding? Okay, back to the story now. And I have a white lanyard for keys and stuff, and the lanyard part hangs out of my pocket. As for the story, I was recently invited to a family friend's wedding that I was kind of forced to go to, and during the reception, I get a call from a coworker asking if I could come in a little earlier than I was planning to make up for him. He's made shifts up for me several times before, so not only did I owe him, but I really didn't want to be there anyway. Oh, that's miserable. I quickly changed, told the groom, the family friend, and he thanked me for coming, and I left. His wife did look a little mad or annoyed at me, but I had to go, so I didn't really care. Later, I get a text from my sister telling me I pissed the bride off and she was mad I was wearing white. Fam, we're not doing this. I was confused and said that the patch was the only part that was white. She said that the bride said the lanyard was too. I said that I just said bye to the groom and wasn't there for very long and that it was so small. She said that the rest of them were mad at me, and I did get a quite strongly worded message from the bride later. What is happening with this group of people? Okay. I told her she was being ridiculous as there was little white, it shouldn't matter at all, and that it was just at the reception. She told me that I was being ridiculous, and some other family members / family friends are siding with her since it was her wedding day, and I'm starting to think I'm the a-hole since the invites did say no white very specifically. Oh, this is a complex, and I guess I should have changed in my car or anywhere else after leaving, or I could have apologized to try to soothe the situation. Am I the a-hole? Okay, so OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I think I may be the a-hole since, like I said, I had other options for changing, could have apologized or done something else. Oh, not the a-hole. You didn't wear white to the wedding. You wore it to leave the wedding as you were called into work. Why does that rule even apply to him? It's part of his uniform. I kind of thought they only applied to not wear a white dress to a wedding. I didn't realize it applied to suits too. This is like, oh, okay. Okay, some people get real ruffled feathers about color palettes for weddings and they want to die on this hill, and this is something that they're like, don't you dare. No, I don't think the OP is at all a jerk in this situation. I personally would have handled it differently, and I think the OP can see that as well. Like, maybe you should have said just goodbye and then changed later. I don't think I would have walked through a wedding reception and said goodbye to a couple in my work uniform. It's just like, it's a kind of a accidental way of calling attention to yourself. I don't think that's what the original poster was trying to do, so I'm not necessarily calling them out for that, but I personally would have handled it differently, right? I would have said my goodbyes, then changed, and then left quietly, right? I didn't need to leave with my uniform on. Does that make sense? So it's not the wrong way, I just would have handled it really differently. If it was my client, or if I was this bride, I don't think that would bug me, and I would encourage my client to not let it bug them as well, because this person is leaving to go to work. Now, we obviously know that they didn't want to be there, right? You had no desire to be there. You wanted to skedaddle anyways, but that's not necessarily like the couple didn't know that. But my guess is subconsciously you were wearing that uniform as like a, hey, I'm sorry, I gotta go to work, which is a normal thing, right? Like, it's very normal to be like, I'm going to walk up and say goodbye in my uniform, so they see that I have a valid excuse. It is my doctor's note to leave their event. This may be conscious, this may be subconscious. I may be just kind of like shooting in the dark here, but that could be a very reasonable solution why maybe you were like, in the back of your mind, I'm going to go say goodbye in my uniform so they know I have to leave. You could have handled that differently, and that might be where that little niggling guilt is coming from. But I don't think it's worth having the bride send you a strongly worded message. I don't think it's worth having family members and friends surround her and also come at you for this. And I also think that going so far to be so mad at somebody because they had a lanyard and a patch that had a speck of white on it. This is not what etiquette means or says. When people say you can't wear white to a wedding, that's not what this means. Okay, I mean, obviously, ideally not a work uniform, right? There's a couple ways that we can handle this differently, but that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have a speck of white on your person at all whatsoever. Does that mean that anyone who's wearing a suit can't wear a white button up underneath? Let's be logical about this. That's a huge request for a lot of people who are already wearing suits or renting suits, and there's a lot to unpack here. No, you are not the a-hole. Someone needs to get a little dose of perspective. For sure. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and leave today's video. If you guys liked it, jump on down there, hit that like button. Last time I did one of these videos, everyone just like, y'all freaked out, and it was great. I had no idea what I was stepping into. A little precious little landmine of flurry of activity. Let me know your thoughts on these situations down below. I will also link to all of these if you want to go take a peek at them in the description. If you are planning a wedding and you are struggling and you don't know if you're the a-hole in certain situations and you need somebody to talk to, please come join me over my master plan. I'm there live once a month answering your questions in real time. We get to talk about how you're supposed to plan a wedding. We get to talk through etiquette things. We get to talk through decor and style and what to book and how to manage your budget. I help you walk through all of it because it's a lot. On top of like actually planning an event, there's all of this emotional turmoil in addition to it. So I'd love to help you walk through that. I'm going to go ahead and link it right here or down in the description box if you want to check it out. And until next week, bye guys. These people are wild.